Okay, let's head over to the border of Norfolk and Suffolk, to a small village called Thelnetham. Now, you'll find a pub there called the White Horse, and, from the outside, it might look like any other, but it is something really special. It's a powerhouse, a truly shining example of what a local pub can be today. And hey, don't just take my word for it. Visitors, they feel that special atmosphere right away. You can tell it's more than just a business. It's a real hub for music, for events, and as you can see from this quote, it's run by the very people who drink there. And this whole community-run thing, it's clearly working. I mean, we're talking about some serious recognition here. Runner-up for CAMRA's Pub of the Year, Cask Marque accredited, which, if you know your ales, is a huge deal for quality. By every measure, this place is a massive success. But, and this is what's so fascinating about this story and what we're really going to break down, this thriving pub, this success story, it was nearly lost forever. I mean, its future was just hanging by a thread. So to understand how they managed to save it, we first have to look at the threat it was up against. And it's a threat that has become tragically familiar for pubs all across the UK. As YouTuber Wandering Turnip puts it so well, the loss of local pubs is a national crisis. These places aren't just for getting a drink. They're the hubs of community spirit. And when they disappear, man, they leave a huge hole behind. And this is just how close the White Horse came to being another one of those statistics. So picture this. The community, they scraped together a bit of £245,000 to save their beloved pub. But a property developer comes in and offers £30,000 more with a plan to bulldoze it and build private houses. This quote right here gets to the absolute heart of it. For the developer, it was just a piece of land and investment. But for the locals, it was a completely irreplaceable asset, the beating heart of their village. And they were not going to let it go without a fight. So they're outbid, it looks like it's over, and they're facing defeat. The community realizes there's only one option left. If they really want to save their pub, they're going to have to buy it themselves. And this is where the story gets really inspiring. And this wasn't some quick, easy victory. No way. You can see from this timeline, it was a 4-year marathon. It started with just forming a society. Then they had to get the pub legally protected as an asset of community value. They even operated it under license for 2 years just to prove they could do it, all before they could finally get the money together to actually buy it. The absolute game changer came in the form of this number right here, a nearly £250,000 grant from the government's Community Ownership Fund. Wow. This was the lifeline they had been working towards for years. But, there's always a catch, right? The grant required them to raise 20% of the funding themselves. The community was given just 2 months to come up with £60,000. And incredibly, they did it. So how on earth did they pull that off? Well, they turned residents into owners. More than 60 people from the local villages bought shares with a minimum investment of just £50 to become part owners of their own local. This wasn't just a purchase. It was a huge collective act of faith. But after all of that 4-year marathon, the crazy fundraising, the 60 new shareholders, it just begs a crucial question. Why? Why go through all that trouble just to save a pub? The answer, it turns out, is hidden right in the name of the society that started it all. Because their real driving force, you see, their deeper motivation, well, it was never really just about saving a building. The community group is called Ikigai Farm. Now, Ikigai is this Japanese concept that basically means a reason for being, a purpose in life. It's this idea that real fulfillment comes when you find that sweet spot where your passions and your talents meet what the world actually needs. And that's what this was all about. See, the community saw a world that needed more connection. They saw a way to fight back against this epidemic of loneliness. So the pub wasn't just a pub. It became the vehicle for their mission. It was always about being, just like their hashtag says, more than a pub. So what does that more than a pub mission actually look like in practice? Well, this is the legacy that their purpose-driven vision has created. This is their Ikigai in action. They host Meetup Mondays to fight isolation. They've built a stage for local musicians to play on. They even distribute funky veg that supermarkets would have just thrown away. And the whole thing is powered by over 50 volunteers. It just proves this is a space for belonging, not just for beer. One of the local members just summed it up perfectly. A pub is the beating heart of a community. And the people of Thelnetham understood that. Once that heart stops, once it's gone, it is almost impossible to get it back. They didn't just fight to save a building, they fought to save the very heart of their village. And that leaves us with a final thought. The story of the White Horse. It shows what's possible when a group of people stops focusing on just saving something and starts focusing on what they really want to build. It makes you wonder, doesn't it? What could your community build if it found its ikigai?